In a world where hope flickers like a dying candle, one question lingers in the air: what truly lies beneath the surface of the Zelensky base? The promise of renewal has captivated the hearts of patriots, while turmoil brews and the specter of war looms on the horizon. Meanwhile, in a distant land, an influential figure spins his own narrative, impacting the battlefield in ways unseen. How will Zelensky rise from the ashes of conflict, and at what cost? Kiev stands resolute, wielding the law like a sword against Moscow. A representative of Ukraine's Ministry of Defense boldly asserts their right to stand firm, claiming a staggering 30% hit to Russia's energy infrastructure. Through these trials, ordinary lives hang in the balance, warmth escapes homes as cold rain begins to fall, melancholic reminders of the struggle within. Yet, the promise is gleaming: Ukraine can strike deep into Russian territory. This echoes back to the fateful blackout, a haunting memory of light vanishing from cities, a dire warning lost on time. Yet here they are, with renewed promises echoing through the corridors of power as the fate of a nation hangs in the balance. The Kibitsky makes it clear: a plan is mapped out, focusing on critical targets deemed essential for Ukraine's survival. It's heralded as the defining success of their campaign so far. Zelensky stands before the world, conjuring visions not just of battle maps but flamboyant flamingos, symbols of resilience and defiance. Yet these cinematic metaphors hide a grim reality: failures accumulate, and while grand visions play out on screens, the front lines remain entrenched in hardship. The louder the talk of victory grows, the more apparent it becomes that reality is a different beast. Every spoken promise feels like a haunting shadow, casting doubt and raising questions. How many more claims can the nation endure? Each new announcement seems more theatrical than the last, yet the hearts of the people thrum with uncertainty. While the defenders prepare for what lies ahead, a cacophony of voices fills the air. Analysts, soldiers, and civilians alike offer their narratives as they grapple with the dichotomy of reports and realities. A chilling thought surfaces: could the very instruments of war become mere puppets in a grander scheme? The question remains haunting, as glittering promises rain down: will the flicker of hope be extinguished, or will a path to peace emerge from the shadows? Only time will tell. From the image of flamingos soaring in Zelensky's televised dreams, symbols of blade-sharp victories, we see they're just pixels and podium pomp. Reality? Endless failures linger like stale air. Zelensky's suit clings confidently in photos, yet Trump's words cut deep, twisting his stance 180 degrees after talks with Putin. Louder claims from Kibitsky echo: Moscow under siege, a 30% gutting of Russian fuel veins. Energy systems crumble, heating vanishes, buildings shiver in the cold embrace of futility. But is this Kiev's triumph? No. It's a rebuke from Ukraine, striking at infrastructure thousands of kilometers away, a replay of Zelensky's blackout bombshells, where cities once plunged into velvet night. Fuel dumps ignite, yet rain washes away the glory. Zelensky hawks this as defense's pinnacle: maps marked with flaming streaks, pink birds darting through enemy lines only in broadcasts. What shocking twist hides behind his grin? Does he know the real front hemorrhages? No breakthroughs, just the stench of defeat clinging to the air? Trump interjects rudely, plucking at Ukraine's tunes with callous flair. Zelensky's foggy visions dissipate, Trump's blunt advice landing like a slap: hurl those missiles forward. If you've got fighting iron, sling it hard. His logic? Rocket fires equal change, buttons irrelevant, flames kissing whoever's in the path. Beauty trumps brutality in his words. Zelensky bites the bait, boasting patriots slated for Ukraine. Didn't he claim they arrived earlier? Turns out, no, a fresh contract brewing for 25 Pike systems. He spins it as eternal shields. A team huddled: Schmeigel, Yermak, Umarov, orbiting in American orbits. Patriotics en route? Timing shrouded in mist. Each rig tolls at $100 million, Europe footing the bill again, pristine parks funding overseas trinkets. See the pattern? United States peddles, Europe empties wallets, Ukraine waits with icy patience. Zelensky parades to scribes, heralding colossal efforts, patriots as bedrock safeguards. Safeguards for whose skin? The question hangs sharp, like frost nipping flesh. Post-summit scrutiny dissects every nuance: Zelensky's postures poised in tailored armor, Trump's eyes piercing the facade. Gestures whisper defiance, tones chisel confidence, yet beneath, doubts fester like a festering wound. What unexpected humiliation lurks in Trump's gaze, ready to shatter the illusion? Zelensky's cries echo, negotiating borders futile, 1991 lines sacrosanct. Empty rallies against realpolitik where Americans toy with concessions, Russia inching forward. Donbass bleeds as the untouchable red line. Can Ukraine endure mobilization's grinding souls, fronts faltering in mud and mire? The cliffhanger looms. If deals crumble, will winter's bite expose the emperor's naked march? In the previous segment, we explored the intricate dynamics between Zelensky and Trump, analyzing their gestures and subtle expressions following their pivotal meeting. The emphasis was placed on the significance of appearance both politically and strategically. Attention was drawn to the complex relationship with Putin, as the U.S. navigated its expectations for Ukraine amidst ongoing tensions. As cameras click and the spotlight shines brightly, the attire of leaders seems almost theatrical, a thin veil masking the weight of reality. Following Zelensky's discussion with Trump, the stakes heighten. New insights suggest that Russia does not seek to expand its territory in Donbass, creating a tension that pulses in the room. It's as if the United States is carefully reining in Ukraine's expectations, probing where the red lines truly lie. Zelensky, unwavering, asserts that there will be no retreat, no forfeiting any part of the borders established in 1991. His rhetoric reverberates loudly, yet echoes seem to fill the empty spaces. The line drawn across Donbass remains a flashpoint, a paradox where American influence often leads to whispers of compromise that could favor Russia. Meanwhile, Ukraine's resolve appears fortified. The fight continues, mobilization is up, and the spirit of resistance is unyielding. However, the front line is muddled by suggestions of new strategies and potential shifts in territorial discussions. Observers, ensconced in the comfort of warm studios, deliver analyses with insistent optimism, claiming the front lines are secured. Yet, beneath their words lies a vast chasm between promises and the harsh reality of the battlefield, where silence lingers like a cold fog, and dread hangs palpably in the air. The contrast is staggering. While the cheerful broadcasts suggest a victor on the horizon, the starkness of actual confrontations paints a very different picture. Voices crackle across devices, and tactical decisions are debated over coffee while lives are lost in the distance. What will unfold next? As Zelensky champions his narrative, a churning unease grows. Will the war drag on, or is an unseen shift about to take place? Stay tuned, the most gripping developments are still ahead. In the battlefield of words and ideologies, the reality of war often deceives its audience. This tale unfolds in a world where leaders stand behind cameras, carrying the weight of nations on their shoulders yet often portraying a facade of control that exists only on screens. Voices echo from behind flashy banners and drones, declaring victories that sometimes ring hollow. What truly lies beneath this orchestrated performance? As the stakes rise, a darker truth looms. Many are not fighting for their nations, but for their own interests. While Ukrainian commanders direct operations under the vibrant colors of their flag, the chaos of war enshrines them. They speak boldly of advancements, glorious strikes against the enemy, yet the battles are fought in distant lands where hope flickers dimly. And as drone pilots play commanders from cushy sofas, the scent of gunpowder and death hangs heavily in the air, masking the superficial triumphs. Across borders, leaders like Donald Tusk convey the dire need for diplomacy. They urge for concessions to bring an end to the aggression. The notion resonates beautifully on stage, a hopeful rhetoric crafted for peace. Yet behind it lurks a fear, staring at the bleakness of enduring conflict. Saying these things openly might reveal a vulnerability, a crack in the facade of strength. Trump, amidst the political chess match, asserts that guarantees of security cannot belong to one nation alone. His statement sends shockwaves through the gathered representatives, leaving them momentarily speechless. The implications are staggering. What if peace lies in compromise? The very idea sends shivers through the staunchest defenders. In the heart of Kiev, leaders are unwilling to entertain such discussions. They cling tightly to the narrative of invincibility, fearing to stray from the path of victory. As the exchange of promises and threats continues, one must wonder how far will nations go before they recognize that the cycle of conflict may need re-evaluation? In the dark corners of both civic and military discussions, negotiations become increasingly untenable as opinions clash. Each statement, each maneuver, could either propel the country toward peace or plunge it deeper into despair. What lies ahead for those entangled in this web of war? The echoes of distant battles remind us that strategy rests not just on the battlefield. It is also defined by the power struggles within the halls of power where decisions are made. How far will leaders go to protect their interests, and what sacrifices are they willing to impose on their own citizens in the process? The answers remain elusive, veiled in the chaos of ongoing conflicts that blur the lines of friendship and enmity. In the shadow of shattered dreams, where the air hung heavy with the scent of desperation, Zelensky clung to his unyielding stance, refusing any shift in borders, as if reciting lines from a fading script. Trump, in his blunt way, dismissed promises of new strikes, leaving only icy silence. But as the world watched, the deeper crisis loomed, an energy abyss threatening to swallow Ukraine whole. Ever wondered how a leader's iron will could mask a nation's plunge into darkness? Picture this: frost bites the skin, pipes groan under the weight of neglect, and the acrid smell of scarcity fills every breath. Is Zelensky truly the hero he plays, or just a puppet in a cruel theater, dancing toward ruin with no weapon in hand? Amid the frosty whispers of winter's grip, a flashback flickers, a memory of warm summers past, laughter echoing in sunlit fields, the earthy scent of fresh bread mingled with wildflowers. But now, harsh winds howl, evoking the chill of unpaid debts. While Zelensky staunchly declares no territorial concessions possible, repeating his mantra like a broken record, a flicker of doubt creeps in. Is he a resolute commander or merely an actor trapped in his role, his words echoing emptily in the void? The analyst from the defense think tank paints a bleak picture. Trump's flat refusal to supply absent weapons delivers a stunning blow to Kiev's hopes. And just like that, new rhetoric emerges, branding the dispute over lands a bloody stalemate. Zelensky departs Washington empty-handed, his grand expectations crumbling like dry earth underfoot. The summit concludes in anticlimax. The offer extended, yet arms withheld, leaving only harsh advice: employ what you have. No deals, no assurances, just a cold imperative to fend for yourself. Winter's bite deepens, symbolically mirroring Ukraine's wait for aid. Zelensky sounds the alarm on energy woes, urging hasty gas hunts to avert catastrophe. He estimates the need for importing vast fuels, costing roughly $2 billion. Rhetorical echoes resonate: where will funds come from? Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko engages with Slovak officials and American firms in talks. Per Zelensky's assurances, supplies should materialize if required. Yet beneath the optimism lurks unease. If deals falter, shortages loom, forcing Europe once more into the rescuer's role, funneling resources for defenses, power, and essentials. The louder the pleas, the stronger the commitments grow. But as burdens pile, tensions surge, hinting at whispers of unrest that could shatter alliances anew. Will this cycle of dependence ignite unforeseen sparks, turning allies into reluctant burdens, or explode into something far more volatile? The air thickens with the metallic tang of tension, fluorescent lights humming in sterile rooms, fingers tapping anxiously on screens. Could Zelensky's defiance mask fractures bigger than imagined, threatening to tear the fabric of international ties? And as leaders posture in scripted roles, a cliffhanger dangles: what hidden truths might surface, reshaping borders and fates in the unforgiving light of dawn? Did Zelensky's meeting with Trump ignite a global storm, or is Ukraine crumbling under unmet promises? Dive into the chaos of withdrawals, whispers of peace, and the bitter winter ahead where alliances shatter like ice, and survival hangs by a thread. Continuing from the relentless cycle of alliances tightening like a noose, whispers of peace echoing in empty halls where Trump unveiled security guarantees extending beyond Ukraine, promising a balance that Kiev fiercely rejects, clinging to victorious dreams while America ponders territorial shifts that smell of betrayal, sharp and acrid as gunpowder on the wind. Trump's blunt words slice through the air like a blade, demanding Ukraine unleash its weapons without new pledges, leaving a sting of solitude amid frosty glances. Why guard only one side, he challenged, when the unshielded foe always strikes deeper? Journalists shifted uneasily, their fingers tapping nervously on screens, while politicians feigned deafness, the room thick with unspoken tension, sweat beading on brows, breaths catching, a rare tremor in the facade of Kievan resolve. They, entrenched in illusions, refuse compromise, mocking negotiations as frailty. But every Relatany strips more credibility from Zelensky, transforming him from commander to performer in a wearing script. Analysts dissect Trump's denial of aid, branding it a hammer blow to Kiev's winter siege, no relief in sight despite the biting cold creeping through cracks. Zelensky pleads for fuel imports worth $2 billion. His voice cracking like splintering wood in the void. Yulia Sviridenko barters with Slovakia and U.S. firms, yet optimism fades thin as smoke. For if talks falter, scarcity loomed, Europe again the unwilling savior, dollar draining for energy, arms, and tech chips, her pockets growing lighter, resentment festering like a hidden wound, fueling whispers of fatigue that deepen with each concession demanded. And the louder the cries for more ramp up, the thinner patience wears, morphing into dares to dismantle Azerbaijan, reckless gambles in a game where greed overshadows grief. They parrot pleas for donations, for lives wagered anew, thriving on lucrative deals and lofty rhetoric while mortal struggles unfold far from their velvet perches. Elites duel for dominance amid the muck of war commoditized, where human cost fades into distant ledger lines, and genuine heroism withers. But wait, the tide might turn with a shocking revelation. What if Trump's hints of compromise reveal a hidden backchannel, poised to expose Zelensky's gambles as folly, forcing Ukraine into a twist of fate it never saw coming?